There was a time when staying healthy did not require a shelf full of bottles, no morning stack of capsules, no powders stirred into water, no immune support labels promising daily protection. And yet, most families managed to get through winter without constantly talking about immunity. Health wasn't optimized, it was lived. In the 1970s and 1980s, staying healthy wasn't a goal you tracked. It was the natural result of how daily life was structured. People didn't ask, "How do I boost my immune system?" They asked, "What's for dinner?" or "Did you finish the yard work?" The structure of life did most of the invisible work. Movement was built in. Not gym workouts, just daily physical effort. Walking to neighbors, carrying groceries, digging gardens, fixing fences, chopping wood, shoveling snow. The body moved through resistance regularly. Circulation stayed active. Muscles worked. Lymph moved. Nobody called it metabolic health, but it was. Food was simpler. Meals were cooked at home more often. Vegetables were seasonal. Root crops lasted through winter. Cabbage was fermented. Soup simmered slowly. Bone broth was normal, not branded. Garlic and onions flavored everything because they stored well. No one spoke about antioxidants. They just ate what was available. Fermentation wasn't a health trend. It was preservation. Sauerkraut, yogurt, pickled vegetables. These foods quietly supported gut diversity long before people understood the word microbiome. Sleep followed darkness more closely. Without constant screens and notifications, evenings slowed naturally. Artificial light existed, but distraction was limited. People went to bed earlier in winter because there was less reason to stay awake. Circadian rhythm wasn't optimized, it was respected by default. Homes were cooler in winter. Windows were opened regularly. The body adapted to seasonal shifts instead of living in permanent climate control. Mild exposure to cold strengthened circulation. Sun exposure in warmer months happened through normal outdoor tasks, not scheduled vitamin D sessions. Stress existed, but it was different. It was situational, not constant. There were deadlines, bills, responsibilities, but there was less digital overload, less comparison, less 24-hour stimulation. The nervous system had more quiet moments, and perhaps that is the part most people overlook. Health wasn't built through intensity, it was built through rhythm. Rhythm of seasons, rhythm of meals, rhythm of light and dark, rhythm of work and rest. No one sold the rhythm, it was simply there. If you remove the supplements, remove the labels, remove the marketing language, what remains is environment. The body responds to environment more than to products. In earlier decades, daily life required mild adaptation, not extreme hardship, but small, consistent stressors that kept internal systems active. Temperature shifted between seasons. Air moved through open windows. Floors were colder in winter. Summers were warmer without constant air conditioning. The body adjusted. Adaptation is not discomfort for its own sake. It is the process through which systems remain flexible. Blood vessels constrict and expand. Metabolism shifts slightly with season. Appetite changes naturally with temperature. These small variations act like training sessions for internal regulation. Modern life smooths everything out. Climate stays nearly identical year-round. Lighting extends daylight artificially. Food remains uniform across seasons. The body receives fewer natural signals to adjust. Earlier meals were heavier in winter, lighter in summer, not because of dieting trends, but because availability dictated choice. Root vegetables, cabbage, potatoes, onions, and preserved meats formed the base of cold season meals. In warmer months, fresh greens, berries, and lighter dishes appeared more frequently. This natural cycling exposed the body to varied nutrient patterns over time. Fermented foods deserve attention again here. Sauerkraut sat on dinner tables not because someone read about probiotics, but because cabbage had to last. Yogurt was made at home. Sourdough bread required fermentation time. These processes altered food composition in ways that improved digestibility and nutrient availability. Modern science now explains the mechanisms, but the practice existed long before the explanation. Even illness itself was approached differently. Minor colds were expected occasionally. Rest was taken more seriously. Work slowed when fever appeared. Recovery time was respected because pushing through was not always possible. There were fewer options to suppress every symptom instantly. The immune response was allowed to complete its cycle. This did not make people invincible. Infectious disease and medical limitations were real. Modern medicine is invaluable and life-saving. But alongside those advances, lifestyle shifted toward constant stimulation and constant productivity. Recovery windows narrowed, sleep shortened, artificial light delayed hormonal rhythms. Physical effort once provided a form of stress that balanced mental stress. Chopping wood, gardening, carrying heavy loads. These activities taxed the body physically, but often reduced mental tension. Today, stress is frequently cognitive without physical release. Chronic stress hormones can alter immune balance over time. Community also played a subtle role. Meals were shared more frequently. Conversations happened face-to-face. Social bonds were maintained without digital mediation. Human connection lowers stress responses in measurable ways. Isolation does the opposite. None of these elements were viewed as immune strategies. They were normal, and that normal created resilience gradually. When supplements became widely available, they filled a perceived gap. As lifestyle moved further from seasonal rhythm and natural exposure, people sought targeted solutions. Capsules promised to compensate for irregular sleep, limited sunlight, processed diets, and constant stress. But the foundation was never the capsule. It was the pattern of living. Resilience builds slowly when the body encounters manageable variation. Too much stress overwhelms. Too little stimulation weakens adaptability. Earlier lifestyles, despite their imperfections, often landed in a middle ground of steady demand. The forgotten aspect was not a special herb. It was alignment with cycles, light and dark, cold and warm, work and rest, fresh and preserved. When those cycles fade, people begin searching for replacement tools. Sometimes those tools help, but they rarely replace rhythm entirely. If you strip away the branding, the advertising, the health trends that rise and fall every few years, one quiet truth remains. The human body has not changed nearly as much as the world around it. Our physiology is still built for cycles. It is built for variation, for daylight that fades gradually, for food that changes with season, for effort followed by rest, for mild cold and warm sun, for real hunger before meals and real fatigue before sleep. For most of human history, health was not something you chased. It was something you maintained by staying in rhythm with your environment. That rhythm did not require constant thought. You worked because work needed to be done. You walked because walking was necessary. You preserved food because winter was coming. You rested because darkness came earlier. You adapted because comfort was not constant. And in that adaptation, something important was strengthened. Resilience. Not perfection. Not immunity to everything. Not the absence of illness. Resilience is different. Resilience is the ability to recover. It is the ability to adjust to stress without collapsing. To get sick occasionally and return to balance. To endure seasonal shifts without feeling fragile. Earlier generations were not healthier in every measurable way. They faced limitations modern medicine has solved brilliantly. We should never romanticize the past to the point of denying progress. Antibiotics, emergency care, advanced diagnostics, these have saved millions of lives. But progress in medicine does not automatically replace the role of lifestyle. Somewhere along the way, daily structure weakened while medical tools strengthened. And when that happened, people began looking for concentrated solutions, something small and convenient to replace something large and foundational. Supplements are not inherently harmful. In many cases, they are useful. Deficiencies are real. Modern agriculture and food systems are different. Some people benefit greatly from targeted support. The problem begins when the foundation is missing. A capsule cannot substitute for sleep. A powder cannot replace sunlight. A tablet cannot undo chronic stress. A label cannot restore rhythm. When people say, "We used to stay healthy without all this," they are not usually describing a secret ingredient. They are describing a way of living, a way that required less optimization because life itself provided steady, manageable challenge. There were colder houses in winter, warmer days outdoors in summer, more walking, more manual work, more home-cooked meals, more fermented food without calling it fermented food, more time between stimulation and sleep. Those patterns shaped internal balance gradually. Today, comfort is constant and stress is invisible. We sit longer. We stare at artificial light late into the night. We consume information continuously. We move less but worry more. We eat year-round abundance without seasonal contrast. The body still expects variation. Without it, systems become either overstimulated or undertrained. The forgotten truth is not that people had better pills in the past. It is that they needed fewer, because their environment quietly trained them. If there is something worth reclaiming, it is not nostalgia. It is structure. Open a window occasionally. Walk outside daily, even in cooler weather. Cook simple meals. Eat fermented foods, not because they are trending, but because they are practical. Respect sleep as a biological requirement, not a negotiable task. Allow minor discomfort without immediate correction. Rest fully when ill instead of rushing recovery. These are not dramatic acts, they are ordinary. And ordinary, repeated consistently, becomes powerful. The body does not demand perfection, it demands pattern. Health was once built through the shape of life itself, not purchased in pieces. Perhaps the question is not how people stayed healthy before supplements. Perhaps the better question is how daily life once supported health without calling attention to it. The answer is not hidden. It is simply quieter than modern solutions. And quiet foundations, built over time, tend to last longer than loud promises.